Okay, good evening. My name's Bob Connors. It is now 6:02 p.m. I'd like to call the May 19th meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission to order. Mason, can you please read the preamble to the remote open meeting law and take a roll call of the members present?
As a preliminary matter, this is Mason Ferret, Conservation Agent of the Newbury Conservation Commission. Please permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mary Rimmer,
Yes.
Dave Clifford, Mick Brown,
Yes.
Harry Trout, Woody Knight, Frank Wettenkamp,
Yes.
and Bob Connors.
Yes.
Good evening. This open meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Newbury Conservation Commission is convening by Zoom call as posted on the agenda of the Conservation Commission section of the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Applicants or their representatives may be called upon to speak and or share information to the screen if able on the fly. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your microphone, please use earbuds, and please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Board and committee members should be called upon in a first name alphabetical order to ease the process. After board and committee members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first seek questions through the chat function. When participants are using this function, please list your names, address, and then your question. The chair will then seek questions from the public who wish to speak. They'll be asked to identify their names, addresses, questions, and once the chair has a list of all public commentators, they'll call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote.
All right. Thank you, Mason. Upcoming meeting dates. We have upcoming meeting is June 2nd. We do not have any minutes for review tonight. So moving on to our first order of business is a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 050-0565, 16 Harvard Way. The applicant is requesting a certificate of compliance for an expired order of conditions. Mason, can you give us an overview and a recommendation on this one?
Yep. So this is one of those projects that is kind of a ghost file. So I didn't have any hard copy filing here at the office. The applicant was able to provide me with the order of conditions and a COC request, and I was able to go out to the site today to review the on-site conditions. As I said, this order, I believe, is more than 20 years old. And while I was on site today, there was nothing that was sticking out to me that made it seem like there was any ongoing activity or any disturbance. So that is kind of the extent of this one, and I'm happy to share some photos with the commission if you guys would like.
Okay, is there anyone speaking for the applicant tonight if we have any questions? Why don't you put up the photos? I think that might be helpful to
Yeah,
Mason.
I don't see anyone here, but I'll start with the photos.
Okay.
So this is kind of tucked behind. It's either 18 or 20 Harvard Way. It may be easier to show you from the beginning, but this is the driveway here. And then in the back, we have a single family residence with a deck on this portion of the house here.
Mhm. Was it something to do with the shed that was on the property line that had to be removed? Was there a
I from the order conditions, I couldn't really tell what
determined?
the
Yeah.
extent of the project was.
Okay.
This right here, I believe, is 18 or 20 Harvard Way.
Okay. Questions from the members. Mary, any questions from Mason on this one? You're on mute, Mary, if you're.
Yeah, sorry. Is there new construction there or It looks like new siding maybe, or new windows, or is that just the image?
They may have had like, on-house work done, but there
Yeah.
was no signs of any like ground disturbance or anything
Right.
like that.
Okay, but we don't know whether or not there was any requirement for maintaining dune vegetation or anything like that.
I, I, I didn't see anything in the order, but I can double check that.
Mhm. Mhm. Harvard.
Yeah, there was no written special conditions on the order that's attached in the folder.
Okay, I don't think we have too much choice here, so.
Yep. Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
and then
Mason, we're getting some feedback on, you know what? What did you just do, Mason? Did you?
I didn't do
Well, that was
anything.
me, Bob. I've got a noisy air conditioner. I'm going to go
Oh,
dial it down.
okay. Thank you, Mick. Thank you. Mary, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Well, I'll skip over Mick. Frank, any questions on this one?
No, Bob, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any questions. I'll wait for Mick to pop back just to see if he has any. Mason, any raised hands from the public at this time?
Seeing none. And yeah, I just rechecked the order of conditions, even the plan reference on there. It just says the engineering firm or the person who made the plans. It doesn't give any detail on project details on what was built or removed or
Yeah.
reconstructed.
Okay. Hey, Mick, any questions on the certificate?
No, no, I have none. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no raised hands from the public at this time, Mason?
Seeing none.
Okay. Any members have a request for a site visit or any additional information? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 16 Harvard Way.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, Mary. Roll call, all in favor? Mary,
Yes.
Mick,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
and Bob Connors vote yes. I don't see Woody or anyone else. Tell me, Mason, let me know if anyone else pops in
Yep, will do.
on the commission. All right, next matter is another certificate of compliance. This is DEP file number 050072580 Green Street. The applicant is submitting a request for a certificate of compliance to close out an old order of conditions that was issued to construct a new single-family home on a lot with a wetland crossing. Mason, can you give us an overview and a recommendation on this application?
Yep. So this is another one where I had nothing on file. Luckily, the applicant was able to provide the order of conditions, and actually had a recollection of the work that was done, as they bought the house. So I think this work was finished up just prior, to the sale when they bought it, which I think was around 2004. But from the conversation with the applicant, it was construction of a single family house in a buffer zone. And at the entrance of their driveway, there was a required wetland crossing. We don't have any approved plans to show the size of the crossing, but the applicant was able to walk me down to that area. We checked it out. He was able to point out at least a half a dozen trees that had been planted for mitigation purposes, and I was able to get some eyes on the culvert as well, and that's been maintained. I was able to see daylight right through it, so I didn't see any issues with that not functioning. And I have some pictures as well that I can share for this one if the board would like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The photos are not populating in here. Let me see if I can get them back up. Yeah, here they are. So they're not in the album, but I can share these. So this is part of the restoration area here. This is standing from the entrance of the driveway, and it goes back to where the lot was developed. This is the culvert that was in here that seemed like nothing was blocking it. And you can see some of the trees that I believe were planted here as well. This is the driveway. And that was their replication area just right of the driveway, where the applicant had explained that they put in about a half a dozen trees and I think some blueberries as well.
Okay, questions from the members? Mary, any questions on this? Kind of in the same boat as the last one with lack of
Yeah,
record.
although there were more specific conditions, I still am getting feedback. I don't know if it's on land or not.
Mick, yeah, you know what, Mick, for some reason it's coming from you. I don't know if you've,
Sometimes if you log in twice,
yeah,
but the order of conditions says that the certificate of compliance should be accompanied by a written statement from a registered professional engineer. And so we don't have that. This is the problem when these conditions, these orders are just allowed to lapse with no follow-up. So this 2004, I don't know how practical it is for, this amount of time to reconstruct, or even if the plans are available to know at all what was proposed at this point. Is that correct? We don't have 2004 plans available?
I don't know. I didn't even have this file. I got the order of conditions from the applicant with their COC request.
Okay, I guess just because there was wetland filling and application, I would kind of like to take a look at this one if there's not any urgency to act tonight, but that's just my thought.
Mason, is there a closing or a financial issue that you know of in this? That
No, they're not on a time constraint. And
Yeah.
I didn't know. I can share the page where they reference the engineer. I don't know if anyone has an idea if these people are still around and we can try reaching out to them. But that's gonna be right.
You know what's happening is the title examiners on previous transactions were pretty lax. They didn't put a lot of weight on open orders of conditions, and now every time you go to a bank now, I guess there was some case law or there was title insurance get stuck with it that they're cleaning up on other stuff every time now after the fact, which you would have thought when these people bought the house that their closing attorney would have cleaned up any open matters like this, but
Ryan Buick, Chris Kajeski, they were with Apple Associates, used to be at Pearson Plaza, and they're no longer there,
Yeah, and then I think the third name is the original property owner.
right?
Mary, why don't I do this? Let me see if there's any other questions. I'll
Sure.
circle back, and then if you feel you want to take a site visit,
Mhm.
it's certainly your prerogative. Mick, any questions on this one?
No questions from me, Bob. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mick. Frank, any questions for you on this project?
No, thank you.
So Mason, were there any bare spots in the wetland replication area? I mean, many times Mother Nature takes care of. Oh, you know what? Woody is.
Yeah, I just admitted him. When I was on site, you know, if he didn't let me know that the replication area was where it was, I
Yeah, we
wouldn't have been
wouldn't
able
know.
to tell. It's just
I
been
know.
so long at this point.
Yep. There was a condition that the replication be done first, somewhere in this order. So presumably Doug Packer, who was the agent at the time, would have been on top of that, so
Yeah.
I presume that would have been done correctly. I guess we have to trust that was the case.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at this point, is Mother Nature taking care of any replication itself just by,
It was graded properly to begin with, yep.
yeah, lack of disturbance after the fact.
Mhm.
Is Woody, are you on the call? I know you were just let in, but okay. Are there any raised hands from the public at this time, Mason?
Seeing none.
Okay. Do any members have requests for a site visit or additional ghost information? We need a Ouija board sometimes to get some of the information. Okay. Is Woody on the call? I don't want to just. I can't really see. Oh, there he is.
Hi, Bob. Sorry, I am having technical difficulties here.
Yeah, no. So Woody, we're on the second set of a certificate of compliance for 80 Green Street. We just went through it. Like the first one, this is approximately 20 years old, and we do not have any records other than what was we don't have any plans or records. And there was a
Okay.
discussion whether or not a site visit may be warranted. Mason, why don't you just give Woody his a quick recap on that, and then we can.
Yep. Yeah,
Move
so
on.
Woody, we didn't have a file here at the town hall. I was able to find this order of conditions from the applicant who provided that with their COC request. From conversations with him, it sounds like it was a order from the previous owner that he had taken on through the transfer of the lot and the house. It was a residential single-family home within the buffer zone, and they had a wetland crossing where they proposed wetland impacts and were required to do some replication planting. We don't have a plan set here, and Mary had pointed out that the engineers identified on this are with a firm that no longer exists. In addition to that, the applicant, while I was on site with him, was able to point out some of the plants that they had put in, including blueberries, and I think it was about a half a dozen trees that he was able to point out just from his memory. Outside of that, I didn't see any disturbance, and it didn't look like the pipe that ran underneath the road was clogged or causing any backups or disturbance.
Okay. Thank you, Mason, and I'm familiar with the property, so thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Mary? Do you have any other thoughts? Are you all
Nope, I
set or?
don't have any.
Okay. All right, Mason, there's no raised hands from the public at this time.
Seeing none.
Okay. Let me go over this again. Do any members have requests for a site visit or additional information?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 80 Green Street.
So moved.
Second,
Good. Okay. Roll call. All in favor? Mary?
Yes,
Woody?
yes.
Mick?
Aye.
Frank?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. All right. Okay, our next matter is a continued public hearing. DEP file number 0501459, Newburytown Beach Project. The town of Newbury is submitting a notice of intent for the removal of debris and the reestablishment of existing beach access ways. Mason, can you give us an overview on this and a
Yeah.
recommendation?
Yeah, so I think the last time this was discussed with the board, we had discussed including the Moby mats that were already installed south of the island. So those were included, and we are waiting on our determination letter from Natural Heritage. So the additional mats have been included in the narrative and project plan, and we have our determination letter now. So I think that's it for updates, but I will pass it to Evan and see if she has anything to add.
Veteran of Duros Environmental. Just to add on to what Mason had explained, we also included the transplanting of some beach grass vegetation should the Moby mats cross over some of the natural beach grass vegetation within those locations of the access ways. I think at the last meeting, the commission had asked if the town was willing to do some restoration plantings. So I will share my screen. I can show you the updated site plan.
I gotta give you permission 1 second. Should be good to go.
Thanks, Mason. All right, so we highlighted areas where there was some vegetation shown on the aerial maps that may be impacted by the placement of the mobility mats. So we added these construction notes and means and methods to the site plan. So the vegetation protection and transplanting now says prior to Moby mat installation, the town will identify any areas of vegetation that may be temporarily disturbed. If vegetation is identified within the installation footprint, it will be carefully transplanted to suitable adjacent bare areas on town-owned land. And that was a condition also referenced in the natural heritage letter. And then we also added this beach preparation and Moby mat installation note to the plan. At the last meeting, if the commission remembers, there was some talk about beach nourishment and raking in the event that sand is pushed around and that it creates uneven paths. So we added this plan or this note to the plan, which allows for raking of existing sand, no excavation, but just enough to provide safe and stable access for pedestrians. And that will just be done by the machinery that's going to help install the mobility mats. At the last meeting also, which was quite a while ago, so just to refresh the commission's memory, one of the abutters had joined and requested some signage to be installed at the entrance of the mats, specifically to try to promote leashed dogs, I guess. So we have included signage at the entrance of all these access ways to remind pedestrians to have dogs on leash, to not trample the dune vegetation, and to remain on the path. So those are the main updates. I can also show you the letter of no take with conditions from Natural Heritage. And they had requested 4 conditions to be included in the order, which is the time of year restriction, April 1 to August 31st is breeding time of year for shorebirds. We have the beach grass transplanting note, which I discussed earlier, authorization duration, saying that this letter is issued for 5 years. And then Wetlands Protection Act notice. And we did include a shorebird protection plan in this order too, if the commission wishes to reference this in the order. And that will be followed if activities are to take place during the breeding season. But that's pretty much it for updates. Happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
I'm just curious, is the leash law now part of our wetland protection bylaw, or is it?
Is what? I'm sorry.
Well, it just seems strange that we're putting notations about a leashed dogs in an order of conditions. That's all. Not that it's not a good idea, but
I think it's just that signage was requested. It's not an enforceable condition in the order. It's just a friendly reminder to pedestrians.
So it's a suggestion. Okay.
Unless you choose to add it to your bylaws, yes.
Okay. questions, Mary, questions for Evan or for Mason on this?
Yeah, I have a good question. So Evan, is the shorebird protection plan approved now by Natural Heritage, or is that just proposed?
This is just proposed at this time. I think in the next coming week or the week after, we're meeting with members of the senior biology team at Natural Heritage to finalize and approve the plan.
Okay, and we've identified Mass Audubon, but not a specific person at Mass Audubon to be the shorebird monitor, is that correct?
At this time, we've identified Mass Audubon. They have been retained by the town for the shorebird monitoring, not specifically for this project, I don't believe yet. Mason, is that correct? I think we're working with the town, with Natural Heritage to somehow have Mason be the shorebird monitor.
Yeah, Mary, the town had made a request that for the install of the mats during nesting season, that the agent act as the monitor,
Okay,
where it's so limited. That there's been a discussion on that. I know Mason had received an email today regarding an update on that. And again, I don't think it's been approved, but I think it's heading in a positive direction. But
okay,
we're not going to be able to take final action on this tonight anyway, until they resolve that and approve your proposed, bird monitoring plan.
okay. So, and to just flip back to some of the other comments from Natural Heritage, just because it was a pretty lengthy letter, they did had some words about our beach management plan and this, and that we were out of compliance with the beach management plan, and that they're looking for us to address that as well. Is that anything that's being dealt with now, Evan or Mason?
Yeah, it's something that we're gonna get started on trying to get the ball rolling on. One of the big things right now is trying to figure out our funding sources and whatnot. Bringing in a consultant for that level of project is fairly expensive. So trying to figure out how we can source that and bring someone on, whether that's through a grant or existing funds with the town. But it is
My
something.
understanding is that we have a beach management plan that has been approved, and it's just not being complied with. Is what they're
So it was approved in 2009, and it was never updated, renewed, or extended. And that's with both NHESP and DEP.
Okay. All right, so that's, I guess, an issue for a different time. They're not linking it to this project. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, and in all honesty, they can't link it to this project. I've been in conversation with Jesse Leddick on a number of issues of these MISA letters and where they kind of exceed their statutory regulatory authority. What is a recommendation and what can be a condition? So
Right.
they're
think
revamping these letters as
But I
we
think it's
speak.
more DEP is the bigger issue, right? I think probably for.
Who mentioned the beach management plan? But it's a separate issue other than it's a squeeze on the town, but
Yeah,
I
it's
look
in
at,
this letter that we're looking at, but scrolled up, they mentioned,
okay,
it's kind of scolding terms.
well, it's an ask, not a must, because they can't make it a must.
Not having to do with MISA, but the beach management plan. I think they can if we're doing activities on the beach during those time of year restrictions, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I would just get back to the Moby Mat questions.
okay.
If you can just, remind me, Evan, what is the width of the mats? 4 feet or 5?
The width varies per the location. So I have the dimensions for all of them on the site plan. So it's varied from 3 feet wide to 5 feet wide.
Okay. Are these intended to provide access for emergency vehicles in any way?
These are really accessibility, isn't it the grant we got for
The
ADA
primary
accessibility?
purpose
Yeah,
is for pedestrians, but
right.
is there any scenario in which vehicles would be using these mats? I know.
I mean, from a practical standpoint, Mary, they'd come through Center Island because with all the sand on the beach, there's no groins interrupting access
Yeah,
from the
okay.
Center Island parking lot to go north or to go south.
Okay, so we could condition it in that way that it not be used for vehicle.
Mm.
vehicle
Yeah, I
use.
mean, they're not wide enough for,
Yeah,
you know,
The
typical.
5 foot one, but just to clarify, and also,
Yeah.
there was a note on your plan about grading and raking. And I just wanted to review the language in that a little bit more because we can't change the beach form or dune form as part of this project. You know, we need to work with what's there to a certain extent, except for evening it out enough to be able to actually roll the mats out. So I just wanted to see where you said the equipment may also be used to rake and regrade existing stand as needed to provide a stable and safe access surface. No excavation below existing grade is proposed. So you would not be grading anything technically on the beach itself. It probably doesn't even lay the mats right on the beach itself. It's just where the dune is kind of blown out a little bit.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the
And you-
incline. It's just
Okay.
the incline of the
And
profile.
there was some discussion about, pushing in the supplemental material that the skid steer would push material up from the beach onto the dune. And I don't think we want to be doing that at all.
Where did it say that, Mary? I didn't see that.
The narrative part?
Yes, your narrative, your supplemental narrative.
Yeah.
Submitted-
Usually it would come from an
DeRosa.
upland, would be an upland source, not coming
You're
off the
not
beach.
introducing any material.
No, we're not introducing material.
So
Accumulation of sand.
it says they want to include raking of existing beach sand, including
Right.
skid steers needed to provide safe access, blah, 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 blah. It's not proposed to bring in any sand or remove any sand from the beach. So I just wanted to be clear that we're not going to be pushing sand up from the beach onto these areas where the mats are going to go. Okay.
No, and you guys can condition that if you want to explicitly say that in the order too.
Okay. Just wanted to make that clear. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have for now. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions for Evan on this or Mason?
I'll just make the comment on the signage. We don't have a leash law in town, but suggested leashes of dogs and people because they both can wander off the map. So some I don't know how you word it, but some sort of wording for the people as well because
Yeah.
to stick to the path. That's all.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I don't have any other comments.
Thank you, Woody. Mick,
Yeah, thank you,
any questions or comments?
I just noticed the term, that they were seasonal mats. And is there a schedule what is the schedule to remove the mats and is machinery going to be used for the mat removal if that's going to be done at the end of the season? And I think we need to condition that in the same way we condition the installation. Like on your plan, it's well marked, or it's well shown on the plan, where these work areas are. So are those delineations on your plan, are they limit of work area as well?
Yes.
Um,
Approximate limit of work.
Okay, so what's the method in which you'll mark that, so that, a skid steer operator knows where he can and cannot go?
Hmm.
I mean, Mick, from a practical standpoint, because I've just seen these being installed probably the last decade or two. Picture it's a carpet runner that gets
They go
started
right-
at the top, rolls out, and then it gets rolled up and carried off. It doesn't weigh hundreds of pounds. Picture, like I say, a 4-foot carpet runner, but it's more of a Scotch guard type of material. So sand and moisture will pass through it. Blowing away is more likely than needing a machine to take it in and out. I think the machine would be the only time would be restoring some of the right of ways to a decent, well, whatever.
Okay, well, it's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, Frank, any questions on this one?
No, thank you.
And I don't have any questions. Mason, do you have any other questions? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I would just say I think you're right. I think that, and from DPW's eyes, we're not going to be bringing machines on the beach unless we absolutely need to. So rolling them out, from the roadside is definitely going to be easiest. And then I would think,
Yeah.
the only time we do need to bring machinery would be to, establish the paths before they actually get rolled and laid out.
Mhm.
And then the only other thing I would add is I talked to Amy with Natural Heritage earlier. It's up to the board, but I believe since the determination letter was issued, that if the board is comfortable with approving tonight, I think we're allowed to, and then it would be confirming our shorebird protection plan after the fact.
So condition that as one of the conditions, post approval.
Mhm. And
Okay,
that would be prior to the start of any work.
okay. Are there any other questions from the members, Mary? I don't want to, I want to circle back just to make sure you're all set.
No, I mean, I communicated with Mason late this afternoon about some special conditions on this one.
Okay.
Can
You know what,
discuss.
I'm just amazed because the Blue Hotel had stairs and beach management stuff and it just didn't, other than having a monitor during shorebird season, seemed to be the only thing, and that seemed to work fine with DEP and with natural heritage.
Yep.
It, I guess the point is the town is trying to be proactive here. They've been doing this for the last 100 years, maintaining right-of-ways and putting in the mats, or private parties have been putting in the mats. It just, I would rather make this more accommodating than punitive.
Yeah,
Just-
I don't think the Blue used a skid steer though. They didn't have equipment, I don't believe, that they brought.
Yeah, but they talked about putting sand over their rocks and stuff like that on their beach management plan, so. But not mining it off the beach, but working in the upland, which would be the same situation for trying to maintain a right of way that may have some wind-driven sand that's been blown one way or the other. Okay, Mason, are there any raised hands from the public?
Seeing none.
Okay. Do any members have a request for a site visit or additional information or plan amendment at this time?
I might go to the beach tomorrow to beat the heat, but otherwise, no.
Okay, well, don't bring your dog, all right? Okay, anything else? Does anyone have anything before I entertain a motion to close the public hearing? So I guess the question is, are we comfortable conditioning the proposed, what was it, the bird management plan, Evan? What's the correct title of that?
Shorebird protection plan.
Okay, shorebird protection plan. Are we comfortable conditioning that with the approval?
Yeah, I think if we could close the public hearing and talk about the
Okay.
special conditions separately, then.
Yeah, no, I mean, only if just want to make sure we're comfortable just
Yeah.
doing that post approval.
Condition it. It's just a question of
okay.
what conditions we agree
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
All right. All right. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
All right. Woody? Okay, roll call. All in favor? Mary?
Yes.
Woody?
yes.
Mick?
Aye.
Frank?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. All right, so this is when we would talk about special conditions. So Evan, you've covered that if any of this work is done during nesting season, that we have to have a qualified monitor approved by Fish and Wildlife. Is that correct?
Correct. And
And then outside of that period of time, we're not required to have a monitor.
correct.
Okay. And the nesting season is April 1 through,
August 31st.
okay. Okay. All right, so I think the shorebird protection plan, we can condition that we want to entertain approving that it'll be conditioned subject to the approval by by natural heritage. Hey, Mary, what other thoughts did you wanna have? I mean, it's not on notate. I mean, the plan seems to be heavily with notations down to
Yep, it is.
sidewalking.
Yep.
I mean, how repetitive do
think
we
that-
want to be? That's the only thing.
Yep, I think that it's worth having a couple of conditions that
Okay.
might provide. You know, the damage is in the installation and removal of this mat, you know, on an annual basis, and depending on how, if it's dragged or removed, you have the potential for impacting some vegetation in the process. So, you know, repairing and replanting of vegetation that's disturbed as part of this, replanting vegetation, transplanting vegetation that's in the path, that's already in your notice of intent, but transplanting vegetation that's in the footprint of the Moby mats to an area that's adjacent to the Moby mats, so it's near the work area. And then I don't know if it's worth, you know, one of the things I considered as, you know, making a special condition so it's very clear that they're intended to provide access for pedestrian use only. And that grading not extend beyond the ends of the mats, that no beach scraping or other activities that change beach dune or beach form or volume are permitted. And then the last one was just because the town needs a reminder that at least 60 days prior to the expiration of the order of conditions, the applicant applies for an extension or a certificate of compliance, and you can't install the mats without a valid order of conditions. So I think that
Good
that
question,
needs to
Mary.
be reminded
Yeah,
that we're not.
is it now 60 days notice prior to the expiration, or is that just giving us a buffer?
30 days, but I'm just trying to give.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Heads up,
Well,
'cause it's-
we're gonna put that on Mason's
Yeah.
responsibility. I mean,
Give
Mason, you're
give them a
basically,
little bit of lead time so that he can get the ball in motion to get it
Yeah.
filed by 30 days prior to the hearing.
so Mason, what I would suggest is once we approve this and the appeal period has expired, file for an extension because it'll be more than 60 days beyond, and you'd be good for another 3. I'm being humorous tonight for some reason. Been a long day. Okay, anything else that we want to add? I mean, I think the big thing is that it's a town project overseen by the conservation agent. If there was anything that exceeded this order of conditions, Mason would have to bring it back as a, you know, an emergency or whatever. I mean, if there was some serious issue, a washout or something like that.
Yeah, I think that it would be worthwhile to have some installation photos taken at the beginning of the year before they're installed, and at the end of the year after they're pulled out, and so that we can monitor it at least for the first few years to make sure that we understand what the impacts are that are associated with these. And if they're minor, then we can discontinue that
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. I think the big thing is here, we're going to impact 3 to 5 feet of the right of way because people will walk on these. Where now it can be 12 to 15 feet because
Right.
people are going wherever they want.
Yeah,
So,
they'll definitely use it, and the grass and hopefully will grow in,
yeah.
so.
So the net benefit, I think, is heading in the right direction. Okay, anything else, Mary?
No, thank you.
Okay. Woody, any comments of you, any conditions you're thinking of?
No, I think the picture
Yeah.
suggestion would be helpful for the future.
Okay, Mick, any questions?
No more questions from me. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Mick. Frank, how about you? Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, I do not have any questions. Mason, anything else you want to add?
No, not at this time. I will most likely be out there with DPW when this project starts, so I'm happy to take some photos and add those to the folder and can give everyone an update. You know, as this process goes along, as we get our shorebird protection plan, and then as we start to roll these out, you know, upon final approval.
I mean, of all the order of conditions we issue in the town of Newbury, this is the only one where the conservation agent is responsible for its implementation and oversight. So, which I think adds great confidence to this project. All right, I will entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for the Newbury Town Beach project with the conditions aforementioned.
So moved?
Second,
Okay, roll call, Mary,
Yes,
Woody,
yes.
Mick,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
and Bob Connors. Okay, thank you, Evan. Okay, next matter is DEP file number 0501464, 54 Cottage Road. The applicant has submitted a notice of intent to propose the replacement of existing single-family home within the riverfront area and construction of an elevated dock. Mason, can you give us an overview? This is Tom's project, as I recall.
Yep, this is Tom's project. This was brought to us at a previous meeting. We did not have a file number yet. Now we have a file number, and I believe we have technical comments. At our previous meeting, Tom had addressed some comments from some abutters and was planning on meeting with the abutters on site to discuss some of those matters. In addition, I had received additional comments, questions, and concerns from the abutters that I added to the folder this afternoon when I received them. So if the board would like to review those or have the applicant address those either tonight or at a future meeting, that would be good.
So you mentioned when I looked this up today, are the technical comments now on the portal?
Let me.
I
no,
didn't, okay, I didn't see any when I looked it up.
Yeah, none right now. But we do have a file number. It's file number 0501464.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think outside of addressing those questions and stuff, it's pretty standard for the board to schedule a site walk for new notice of intent. So I would suggest a site walk, and that would be it for my recommendation for now. And I would pass it to Tom to
Okay.
answer any questions that the commission may have.
All right, Tom, welcome. Just give us your name and your position. And Tom, we're going to ask you to limit your presentation to 10 minutes because you were able to give us a good overview, if possible.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
we can go into questions, which probably we'll spend some time on.
Yeah, so Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. A couple points I do want to clarify. I didn't get into great detail because of the amount of time last time, but the area that we define as degraded for the context of the riverfront regulations is based on structures and alterations that meet certain criteria that existed prior to, I think it's a date in August of 1996. So the way we typically do that is we look at the site when things look like they've got that kind of age. We then look to verify them on prior aerial photographs. There's a black and white series, which is typically the one we turn to, which was taken, I think, in 95. But on sites with a canopy, it's sometimes tough to see things, but we definitely can see the sort of garage outbuilding. We can see this building, and then all of the other things that we counted, like there's a sort of an attached shed or right up adjacent to the building, a shed. There's some landscape features that definitely look like original equipment. So, some of the little tiny bits, we have to use a little bit of informed judgment because we don't have ground photos, but we're able to verify those things that they're not new since that date, 96. In my narrative, I did actually mistakenly refer to the pool and the patio as meeting an exemption. And I have to update that part of the narrative. The numbers still work on running a new pass, but I'm going to update those for you guys. With the hybrid approach, which is the degraded area plus 10%, and I gave a reference in my narrative to a administrative case, and that's an approach that DEP has allowed and actually used itself on a number of projects. We do meet the numbers by about 40 square feet, but I'm just going to verify that before the next hearing. The worst case is if we're off when I update that narrative, we may have to expand our planting area at a 2-to-1 basis for any overage we are over those numbers. So with that said, we did meet with the neighbors on site. We met first with the neighbor who is kind of across the street. and his primary concern was the view. We took a look at his view, and it's actually a view that relies on seeing under the canopy of the trees. And I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, share a screen, uh, and I'll walk you through kind of the changes that we're looking to make. So you should be able to see my screen now. I'm just going to flip past all these things. So the neighbor that we met with is first, uh, and it's John Proto Pappas, I believe is the name. He's across uh, this sort of shared drive that accesses the property, and his view is through the understory over the septic system, kind of in a little bit of a wedge. And he sees under the canopy of these trees, and it's mostly lawn under there, and there's a break in the shrubs along the shared drive that he sees through. Our plan in the floodplain alone has a couple saplings right out here. We looked at them in relation to the septic, and they just weren't a good idea anyway. They're out of the riverfront, so we're not going to do those, but we are looking to increase the size of the saplings we'd be planting closer to the river so that the planted canopy is high enough off the ground. We estimate about 6 feet is what he's looking at under right now. So we'll make sure the bottom of the canopy on the saplings that go in is 6 feet or taller so that we preserve that ability to look under and see the river. Um, and then we're also going to look at the shrub placement that was in that area and some of the species. We have some 7-ish foot tall shrubs. We're going to try to just adjust the heights, keeping with good native plants for that area, and address locations slightly in order to try to have the least negative impact on that neighbor's view. We can still meet all the requirements of having a good native restoration area by just adjusting our plantings a little bit. The other thing we did is we confirmed the species of the tree that's kind of right in this area that had been identified preliminarily by the landscape designer during the winter, and it turns out it is a Norway maple, so we're actually going to add that as a removal and add in another tree as a replacement. Again, with a higher canopy to start with, so rather than doing like a 1-inch DBH tree, we're probably more in a 2-inch, looking for something where it comes out of the nursery more mature than you might normally see, so we can get the canopy to start a little bit higher up. And then with the neighbors on this side, their concern was about the proximity of the proposed project to their property line. And I described to the commission at the last meeting how, our ability to maneuver is somewhat limited because of the ACEC and the septic location. We are actually looking at something to try to make uh, their situation a little bit uh, better, but ultimately their concerns are not environmental in nature. They're more sort of zoning related in nature. Um, but their concern is about the wall next to the pool in this area. And we are 15 feet off the septic, but 10 feet off the septic tank in this area. And we didn't slide this any further over because we didn't want to cross the ACEC line here. Keeping in mind that we're removing a significant existing building within the ACEC and almost in its entirety, if we are able to slide this over about 4 feet, we think we can do that and still maintain the offset to the septic. Um, but we may cross the ACEC line just a little bit where it runs up into the site more. So we think we're at about maybe 12 square feet. If we do that, I still think I can make the regulatory case that we're vastly improving the function of the ACEC, and I just wanted to get some feedback from the commission before we go through. Even though it sounds like a small change, it's a significant effort to try to relocate the building, touch up the grades, update the landscape plan. I mean, a lot of things have to happen to shift the design. Uh, obviously we're trying to not have any impact that's adverse at all in ACEC, but we are starting with an existing condition, which is a home that is, dead center in it. So that's the other thing. Now, we also met with the neighbor on the other side, and he was just pretty pleased with the fact that this property was going to be redeveloped. So with that, I mean, I think we're doing our best to try to be accommodating to neighbor concerns. Neither view nor offset to property lines are part of the commission review, but the owner does want to try to be a good neighbor to the extent he can. But obviously, we've got a race to make some plan changes before your next meeting, if we are going to do that. And then with that said, I guess what I'd like to do is get feedback, answer any questions the commission may have, and set up the site visit. And then ultimately, we would look to continue that to your next meeting. The other thing, I think Mason mentioned a bit, we do have our natural heritage letter, and it's a no take, no adverse effect letter. So it's a clean letter with I don't think they even suggest any conditions.
Okay. So Tom, why don't we do this? Why don't I hold you there and open it up to the members? And then obviously the abutters can come back in when we open it up to the public if they have questions, but
Sure.
you'll get feedback on the resource from the members. So, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I can,
yeah.
one other thing I forgot to mention. They also, the neighbors on the far side there at 52 also expressed concern because the new garage is proposed to be 2 stories. So that did get the design team looking at possibly trying to make that 1 story out of the riverfront, still within the floodplain. It means a bigger footprint, but we think we may be able to do that at single story. So we're taking a hard look at that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. All right. Questions from the members. Mary, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Bob. I would like to do a site visit, so I think
Yep,
that would
certainly.
be a good idea, and that there's a lot going on in the site. Where's the float storage? Are the seasonal dock
So
storages on this site?
So not in the salt marsh, as is sort of common practice in this
Looks like from aerial
neighborhood.
photos that you submitted that there were some in the salt marsh.
Yeah, they were not actually from this site. With the
Okay.
currents in the river, they were from a neighbor who was facing a challenging current.
Okay.
So, but typically, these for a new dock, and this, even though it's a replacement of an old dock, it's a new dock. The floats would be stored either off-site or in the upland, and that we really don't have a good place to store them without taking up
Site.
significant
That's my
parking
question.
area.
You're going to be on
So-
site, or then maybe identify a location on the property, and if not, then we'll just assume it's going to be off site.
Yeah, I mean, I could say it
Should-
would be outside of certainly outside of the inner riparian, and we can,
Yeah, think about that. If there's
Yeah.
a location on site. Also, do you have your marine fisheries letter? For the dock?
I have not seen something from marine fisheries, but we did get the natural heritage.
You can
On a
wait for
similar,
Yeah, well,
on similar things, we do meet all the sort of elevation above substrate and all that kind of thing they typically comment on. So I think we'll be
Yep.
good with that.
As far as your minor little work in the ACEC, I don't think that there's anything in the regulations that would prohibit it or anything. So I agree, trying to keep it out of the ACC boundaries as much as possible is a good idea, but it's not a prohibition, so it's not going to trigger your NEPA review because it's a single family house. So I think, that might be something that would be acceptable in my opinion, anyway. And then I do want to see the updated numbers because this is a riverfront area project and it's a little bit of the numbers that you don't see a lot of these projects, there are thresholds that you have to keep your redevelopment within, and he needs to hit certain numbers of total area of impact versus mitigation, and how you quantify areas that are that you're redeveloping that are previously degraded versus new impacts on areas that are not degraded. And there's a whole formula for that, so we don't have to go into tonight, but sounds like Tom needs to update his numbers for us anyway, so we'll be looking forward to getting that. And those are all my comments.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, questions for Tom on this project?
Thanks for the presentation, and I don't have any questions for Tom. I think a site walk will be very helpful and getting eyes on the site and where things would be helpful for me. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Mick, questions for Tom Hughes on this project?
Yeah, Tom, I apologize if I missed it, but what was the objective for shifting the construction in that 4 feet westerly direction?
So
What was-
it's at the neighbor, and on the plan you can just see the very corner of their house.
Okay,
There's the property line, and it's the offset to the property line of the building, and the about at the tallest, I think it's about 3.5 foot tall wall that runs around the pool and the patio up in there. We do have on our landscape plan, we do have red cedar going in that area to create a buffer, but in their comments, I think sent in today, I barely had time to read them, but I think they were stressing their desire for this to shift. And they're when you look at the constraints we're under, and while the ACEC, like, there's not a section of the regs on ACEC, but ACEC does say if you're doing anything in Wetland Protection Act in the ACEC, you can't adversely affect the functions and values for which it's been listed as an ACEC. And generally, DEP always tries to get you as far out of it as possible. So I do think I can still make a case that we're certainly not adversely affecting if we're only going in 12 or 14 square feet versus what we are now. But we have a septic system here. There's a mandatory offset to a septic system. And my experience has been that if we were replacing the septic, they might let us get closer to a garage if that was our only place to do it. But certainly not much closer. But where we're putting a structure, they're going to hold us to 10 feet at the Board of Health off that. We're at 15 because of the location and grades associated with the septic, but the engineer looked at it and said he could slide the tank over a little bit, and he thinks he could make 5 feet work. But then the reason he hadn't pushed the engineering on that was because the goal that we had talked about as a team was getting entirely out of the ACEC, and sliding this ends up bumping over that line. So we're up against the ACEC pushes us out, as does the riverfront regs generally try to push you further out. And if I use the hybrid approach, degraded lets me stay closer to the riverfront, but the hybrid approach makes me also respect the 1058-4 required to be as far from the riverfront as possible. So we kind of have to slide back from the river out of the ACEC and over from the septic. So it forces us to be in this general pocket. But we might be able to wiggle it and create a little bit more room. And if we move it 5 feet or 4 feet even, that almost doubles that separation to the property line. I think would be a meaningful improvement for that neighbor.
So,
So we do want to give it a good shot at trying to do that.
So, Tom, the effort is to accommodate the neighbor more so
Yes.
than anything else. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't want to go to all that and then come back in and
Right.
have you guys kill it for crossing the ACEC line. So
Nick, anything else?
no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Frank, any questions?
It sounds to me like, with all due respect to the neighbor, our responsibility is to protect the wetland and the
Reasonable.
ACEC. So unless it can be done in a way that doesn't violate that, I don't understand why we would do it.
So in order to I guess to make the case, the regulations, as Mary touched on, it doesn't say that you can't put something in the ACEC, and the commission has in fact in some cases permitted structures in the ACEC. But you have to not adversely affect the functions for which the ACEC was listed. And since the comparison is to existing condition, and we have an existing house within the ACEC, the commission does have the flexibility to allow some house to go back in or some structure to go back into the ACEC to replace what's already there. If I didn't have anything there, it would be a much harder argument to say that I could put this within the ACEC. But I do think this is something where the commission does have the discretion to do it and doesn't necessarily have the obligation to maximize the benefit to the ACEC. But it's a good goal. So I do think we can meet the regulatory standard while accommodating a little bit of that neighbor's concern.
Okay. It's my
Okay.
only question.
Good question, Frank. Anything else? All right. So I'm going to circle back. Mary, any follow-up questions to you before I open this up to the,
Not at
to
this
the-
time, thank you.
okay. Mason, do we have any raised hands? I did see John Kilman.
Yep.
Killian?
Yep. I think we have just them.
Okay,
is
there
all
he
I,
is.
all I see right now.
Okay. Hey, John, welcome. Just give us your name and address and, ask away your questions to Tom. You're on mute if you're. There you go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, John.
Yeah, thanks very much. Tom, thanks very much also in trying to see what you can do about making some effort there. And I understand everybody's concern about protecting the ACEC line and all that it encompasses and such. But I think it comes down to this is probably, and I can only make an assumption right now, a house that has been designed and we're trying to fit it within the confines of the property relative to the ACEC line. I mean, if you can't move it, I guess the other option would be potentially is to, I don't know if it could be resized or something of that nature, redesigned. I know, Tom, you mentioned that would be something that would cost a lot of money and things like that. But when things are only 4 feet from my property and my house is only 10 feet beyond my property line, things like that, and you have a house that's going to be 28 feet, it's going to be pretty encompassing, pretty encroaching, in my area. My property is only half the size of this one, the width, only half the width. And the current property, the current dwelling that's on it right now, is significantly further away from our property line, and this new house is going to be closer to it, only because of its size. It's really what it comes down to. So I like if we can move it over that 4 feet, it pretty much doubles things. That's great. I think that's super if we can do that. And if we can do that based on the existing condition that's there today and do that easily enough, I think that would be fabulous.
All right, thank you, John. So John, you're supportive if they can relocate, push this 4 feet. That's your greatest concern. You touched upon where really the resource area is our jurisdiction and not anything else. But it sounds like
It's really zoning, right?
Yeah, but it sounds like I'm talking to Mary, who's really our commission expert, and Tom, that there seems there'll be a viable pathway forward depending on the total impact. But I think at the site visit, that may be enlightening for a lot of us and alleviate some concerns too.
Yeah, if you folks can take a closer look at that during the site visit, that would be great. Now, could we be invited to the site visit as well?
Well, it'll be public. We'll announce when it's going to be. It's
Okay.
up to the current property owner whether you can go on their property. Kind of sounds like if you stand on the edge of your property, You could be sipping coffee from your own deck and probably see the same stuff we're going to see in the yard.
Well, if someone jumps in the pool, we certainly could get wet. So-
Yeah,
Okay.
that will happen.
Anything else, guys? 'Cause we will do a site visit, and you'll know when it's going to be there, so you can listen
We
in.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay. Mason, are there any other hands?
Yeah, Christie's in touch.
I'm not seeing any at this point.
Okay. Do any of the members have any further questions for Tom? Obviously, we're going to do a site visit. Any additional information, Mary, that you're looking for? You mentioned you wanted the table on threshold versus mitigation and degraded numbers, just to update that.
There, the comment letter from Marine Fisheries.
Yeah, and identify the dock storage area if it's going to be on site.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tom, anything else you want to discuss?
No, I
other
mean,
than site visit?
I think so. The site visit, and one thing, Mary, I'm sure you've seen it, but the last page does have a bunch of tables, including degraded and how much of the degraded area is being redeveloped and how much is not. And so the basis for all the numbers is there, but I'll be trying to package that all together, and go through my narrative and fix. It was my backup regulatory argument, I think, that needs the most cleanup. The other numbers do seem to work by about 40 square feet, but I'm going to run the math again and make sure that's clear, because on a project like this, it's one of the more complicated regulatory analysis under the Wetland Protection Act. The other thing is, if Marine Fisheries sends a letter, they have a habit of sometimes only sending it to the conservation agent. So if Mason gets it, if you can just make sure to forward it to me,
Yep.
that would be great.
All right, so we're going to, so a site visit, just getting out my calendar. Memorial Day weekend's coming up. I mean, the earliest would seem to be Tuesday, the 26th, which would be the Tuesday of a week from today. I just throw that out there as a starting point. Or what's your pleasure?
It would be helpful to have some of the building corners staked out. And so, I don't know, Tom, you might need some time to do that.
I think we can get that done pretty quickly, depending on the day you guys are looking at.
I'm available on Tuesday morning, the 26th, if that's what you would like to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
certainly
that-
by
is that
Tuesday we
viable?
could do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'll have time. Okay. How does that work, Frank or
That works for me, Bob.
Mick? Does that work for you?
So Tuesday, the 26th?
Yes, it'd be Tuesday, May 26th.
I'm assuming a morning.
Yeah, it'd be 8 o'clock, I think is usually the performer we like.
Yeah, I would have to probably leave by 8:30. But that would be, I can be there for that at 8 o'clock for an 8:30 I just have to leave by 8.
Okay.
Excuse me, 8:30. So
Okay. All right, so Tom, why don't we do this? If your request, will continue this public hearing to June 2nd, and we'll schedule a site meeting for May 26th at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that would be great. And we're gonna really race to get these plan updates in and ready to submit, and I'll probably hold off the final stamping of the plans till after the site visit, just in case we need to make any last minute tweaks,
Okay.
and try to get everything into you final for that June meeting.
Okay. All right. Do any members have a request for a site visit? The answer is yes. Additional information, Tom, we've given you that. There may be a few more items after the site visit. Tom, are you going to request a continuance to June 2nd?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to June 2nd at the applicant's request.
so moved.
Second,
Thank you. Thank you, Woody. Hey, roll call, all in favor? Mary?
Yes,
Woody?
yes.
Mick?
All right.
Frank?
Yes.
And Bob Connors. Okay, thank you, David. Tom.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Okay, next matter is a continued public hearing. Let me just make sure here. DEP file number 0501460, 45 Boston Road. Applicant is submitting a notice of intent to expand existing boardwalk systems within proximity to bordering vegetated wetlands. Mason, what's going on here? Is this being continued?
It is. We're still waiting on the infield delineation, so I can go out and confirm that. So then they can also quantify their impacts within the resource areas. So just waiting on that, and then they'll be ready to come back to
That's
us.
been done because I walk back there all the time and the flags are up.
Oh, good to know. Well, I will follow up and reach out with Ned then, and I can confirm that.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing at the applicant's request to our June 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, thank you. Roll call, all in favor? Mary?
Yes.
Woody?
yeah,
Mick?
yes,
Frank?
Yes.
Yes.
Bob Connors?
Mhm.
All right. Next matter, continued public hearing, DEP file number 0501455, Old Newbury Golf Club. Applicant is submitting an NOI for golf course maintenance work, including tee box relocation, tree removal within the buffer zone areas. Mason, what's the status of this? Is this another continuation?
This is Sam Colombo had reached out, who is the representative for Millennium. He's anticipating to have supplemental info and be ready for the June 2nd meeting.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing at the applicant's request to our June 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Okay,
second,
thank you, Mick. Woody, thank you. Roll call, all in favor? Mary?
Yes.
Woody?
yes,
Mick?
Aye.
Frank?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, next matter. DEP file number 0501462-177 Middle Road. The applicant is submitting a notice of intent to construct a new single-family home and associated work within a buffer zone. Mason, can you give us an update where we are on this one?
Yep. So the board did a site walk last week with Bill Holt and the new property owner. We had some comments for Bill and some minor plan adjustments and notations. So he's going to be requesting a continuance tonight to get the plan ready to be shown to us again for the June 2nd meeting.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to continue this public hearing at the applicant's request to our June 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Thank you,
second,
Mick. Thank you, Woody. Roll call, all in favor? Mary?
Yes.
Woody?
yes,
Mick?
Aye.
Frank?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, 6. All right. Next matter is DEP file number 0501465, 23 Downfall Road. The applicant is submitting NRAD to confirm the delineated wetlands on the property. Mason, what's the story on this one?
So they have received a file number. At the last meeting, they didn't have one. And following our site visit at 177 Middle Road, Frank, Mary, and I were able to go over to review the wetland delineation line. Following this, I had sent some comments over to Ben Osgood, who's the applicant for this project, requesting a few minor changes. And he had submitted an updated plan with the requested changes. So as of now, I have no further recommendations.
Okay, Ben, welcome. Just give us your name and your affiliation with this project and just see if we have any questions for you.
Ben Osgood, Ranger Engineering Group, we're the engineer representing, I think it's Applewood Builders. As Mason said, we made the changes that he requested. They weren't tremendous, so we just put them on the plan and resubmitted it. So.
Okay, well, Ben, why don't you hold there and let me open this up to questions from the members and the public if anyone has their hands raised. Mary, questions for Ben on this NRAD?
Yeah, the delineation looked good to us. We had a couple of minor changes. The only question I had is there's a stream that passes through the property. And I wondered if that was looked at to determine whether it could be considered a perennial stream and subject to the riverfront regs. So you
I
have,
didn't look at that. we can look at it. It doesn't show up on the topo map, but I didn't run stream stats on it or anything, so.
Yeah, that would be the only thing that I would suggest. We can either specify that we're not making a determination on any stream as part of the ANRAD, or if you want to make you want to include that in the ANRAD, we can hold off to the next meeting and make our determination then. It's up to you.
I think,
June 2nd is the next meeting, Ben, just to give you a.
right. I have 2 other meetings that night, so I don't need a third.
If it's not, you may not need to attend. If it's clearly not shown on, not digitized in stream stats at all, or it has a watershed area of less than half a square mile, then it's
Yeah,
probably not going to be, but it's a pretty decent stream. It doesn't show up on the,
right.
you gotta pull it
Right,
up.
you can see there's a stream across Route 95. There's no stream at all shown
Right,
in this area, so.
yeah,
I think I would be comfortable with if it's specifically stated in the ANRAD that it's just a bordering vegetated wetland line, and no determinations made on the stream. And obviously, we're going to come in once we get the line set, we're going to design, the home on the property, and we can deal with it then. We can submit the stream stats. But looking at this, I don't think there's going to be a stream stats on there.
Yep.
The
There
ability
may not
to
be. Yep,
even ask it. So.
yep. So
Okay,
that would be
Mary?
my recommendation, Bob, is that we make no determination on whether or not there's a perennial stream on the property, and that be addressed as part of any future notice of intent.
Okay. All right, Mary, anything else before I move on?
Nope.
Okay, Woody, any questions for Ben on this application submittal?
Nope, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Bob.
Mick, how about you? Any questions for Ben on this?
No questions, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, Frank, how about you?
No questions, thanks.
Okay, so Ben, I guess to follow Mary's point, you're not asking for anything other than we could consider what you've submitted in its entirety, and then you'd have to update it or amend it at some point down the road. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that kind of the thought, if it becomes?
He's just
whether it's
asking for a
implement-
confirmation of bordering vegetated wetland boundary.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. All right, I don't have any questions then. Anyone else in the commission have a question before I open this up to the public? Mason, do we have any raised hands from the public at this time? While this submittal.
Seeing none.
Okay, do any members have a request for a site visit or any additional information or plan amendment at this time? Okay, hearing none. I will entertain to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, Mick, Woody, roll call, all in favor, Mary? You're on mute, Mary. If you-
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. Woody,
Yes.
thank you, Woody. Mick,
All right.
thank you. Frank?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, what notations, Mary, do you want to make sure that we exclude any reference to that, the stream, or just we're accepting it as is and it doesn't require anything?
I think you do need to specify in the order of resource area delineation what resources you're confirming. So there's a place where you can confirm it, and then Mason can add a note that just says no determination was made about whether or not there may be riverfront area on the property.
Okay, anything else, Mary?
Nope.
Okay, any other comments or conditions we want to discuss, gents? Okay, I will entertain a motion to, I guess, to approve the NRAD. Is that the proper
to issue an order of resource area delineation. Yep.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second,
That's Mary and Woody. Okay, roll call. All in favor? Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
yes.
Mick,
All right,
Frank,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, thank you, Ben.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Maureen Harold, the most patient woman on the planet.
Well, that's very kind. Not usually, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. All right. So next matter is DEP file number 0501453, 34 Central Street. Applicant is submitting a notice of intent for the construction of an MBTA residential housing development, 34 Central Street. Heidi, can you provide an overview where we're at and a recommendation?
Good evening, everyone. Heidi Gaffney, Northwoods Environmental. So this, I submitted comments. I know everyone's seen them. The engineer responded as well as the consultant Maureen. There's been some revisions to the plan. The erosion control has been added between the central court and the wetland, central court improvements in the wetland. They have revised the location of the proposed wetland replication to eliminate an issue with the setback for the pump chamber for the septic. They are now proposing restoration of 4,118 square feet of the bordering vegetative wetland that is lawn and had been disturbed with the bird coops and debris. So they're now proposing restoration. The wetland replication is still proposed. A revised replication plan was submitted. Today I'm still reviewing it, and part of that is because my comments were out late as well while I was doing some back work. I think the engineer responded to comments, which was very helpful. Some of the key things I think are important is the peer review engineer, I should start with that. Peer review engineer did look at the crossing that had not been part of the review done during the planning board process. And the crossing, a portion of it does not meet the stormwater standards. And let's see, the peer review engineer did agree with the design engineer's statement, basically that the only option in that situation would be to curb both sides of the secondary access, to prevent the runoff from discharging directly to the wetlands, which is how it would happen now, as proposed now. Would send it into central court, but it likely is country drainage because there doesn't appear to be any catch basins or anything, and ultimately end up in the same system anyways. The peer review engineer, Joe Sirwatka, did appear to agree with that.
Heidi,
Yeah.
just clarify, he agreed that putting the curbing in was a good thing, or that not putting it in was going to wind up the same way, whether you put it in or not?
He agreed that it was reasonable to leave it as designed, basically.
Okay, okay.
I will
That's
find.
what I thought you were getting to it. Okay.
Yeah, I can find his specific comment, but I will see right here. His exact statement was, the engineer's statement appears valid in his professional opinion. And he says the report goes on to state that the slope velocities will be below what is permissible as recommended by DEP. That's Joe's statement about regarding that the statement from the design engineer is valid. So one of the key things that is still outstanding is a statement from the peer review engineer just confirming that the remainder of the project it complies with the stormwater standards. I haven't seen anywhere in the prior, it was extensively reviewed during the planning board process, but all of the review engineer comments specific to stormwater, I did not see any statement regarding that it was confirmed. The only statement for that was the required stormwater forms should be submitted demonstrating compliance with the standards. That was a statement from Joe Sawaka, and then he acknowledged that the forms have been submitted. But no other statements regarding compliance have been provided yet. I wanted to note that I did speak with the DPW director, and he has stated he's been with the town 30 or so years and has not experienced any issues or water backups with the 12-inch pipe. So that was good to know about. Some things I think the commission may want to discuss just for final plan changes with the applicant would be snow storage. The snow storage areas are pretty small, and the snow management basically requires trucking snow off site. And snow storage within detention basins, bioretention basins is pretty common issue. Snow storage, no snow storage signage, and possibly snow storage signage for where they should put it versus where they shouldn't may be beneficial. There's a dog area, so dog waste stations may be something the commission wants to require. It can be helpful. And as far as recommendations, I would recommend the commission require a statement from the peer review engineer that the remainder of the proposal it does comply with, because I'm not an engineer, the commission's not engineers. We need that statement as far as just doing the commission's due diligence. And other than that, it's just discussing the snow storage and dog waste management and those types of items. A final plan, and when it comes to the crossing, I will touch on that. So the commission's
Heidi, could I just ask one question?
Sure.
Going back to Joe's comment on the stormwater, he was looking for an updated form and it was submitted. What did the form say? I mean, did the form say it complies with, and is it stamped by Christian?
Yeah, so the forms, the forms are submitted and stamped by the engineer.
Okay.
So they are, and they're extensive. So the forms were submitted, and Joe Sawaka acknowledged that they were submitted, and they are stamped by the engineer.
Okay.
Typically, the peer review engineer will confirm that everything looks good on those forms. Review the forms, basically. But I didn't see any comments regarding the review of the forms, just the acknowledgement that they were submitted. And that's, of course, the commission's decision that the forms submitted are stamped by an engineer. So if that's acceptable, that is.
Yeah, no,
perfectly
just a question that, what was the status of the forms? That's all.
Oh yeah, it's just, I mean, they're extensive, and they are stamped. There's multiple pages, but the review portion of them, there's a checklist to it to confirm compliance.
So you're recommending that Joe issue a peer review sign off on the stormwater and just kind of a general sign off on all of the NOI docs that have been submitted?
Just a sign off statement that the forms that were submitted confirm that the project complies with the stormwater standards, with the exception of what has been noted for the crossing.
Okay. And you're recommending, I just wanted to make some notes here. So snow storage area and signage or a notation to haul snow off site, is that?
Their current management plan their plan shows very small snow storage areas, and their current management plan and their long-term pollution prevention plan is, or long-term management plan, it has trucking snow off when it exceeds the storage capacity that's identified on the plans. but the storage capacity on the plans is quite small. And we all know during snowstorms when, you know, everyone's plowing and there's no place to put things, they tend to get put in spots they're not supposed to. So it would be either, you know, typically what I see is signage in front of the bioretention, detention pond, infiltration, whatever you want to call it, seems to be the most beneficial, just to remind anyone, you know, new truck drivers, new plow drivers, things like that, just to keep it out of there because they really aren't supposed to be putting snow in there.
So you're just recommending signage, no snow dumping in a particular area?
Yep, and that, you know, that can be conditioned, but I wanted to bring it up for discussion with the applicant and their
Okay.
representative. Yep.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to get some clarification for I forgot about the stormwater forms and how detailed they were.
Mhm.
But continue,
Yeah.
Heidi, if you want, or you want to hold there and get questions from the members and then continue. What's your preference?
I'll just continue with the last bit, which is really just regarding the crossing and the fill. So with so the regulations under 10.554B, the issuing authority commission may issue an order of conditions permitting work which results in the loss of up to 5,000 square feet of bordering vegetated wetland when said area is replaced. In the exercise of this discretion, because it is discretionary fill, so it is up to the commission's discretion, the issuing authority shall consider the magnitude of the alteration, the significance of the project site to the interests identified in the act, the extent to which adverse impacts can be avoided, the extent to which adverse impacts are minimized, and the extent to which mitigation measures, including replication or restoration, are provided to contribute to the protection of the interests. So, for that, what I want to note is, it came up in the last meeting that the planning board decision does appear to state that should the crossing be denied, planning board would approve. At face value, it appears to indicate the planning board would approve the original single crossing. However, I have confirmed with town council that it's not necessarily a done deal that way. So the interpretation of the way it was written really is that the planning board conditioned their approval on this second access based on safety concerns under their purview.
Right.
So under the commission's purview, it goes back to what I just read with the loss of up to 5,000 square feet. To that end, they are proposing, I believe it's 2,400 square feet. I'd have to look, but it's less than half of 5,000. And they are proposing to replicate, and now they have added in to this revised plan restoration of existing degraded wetland of over 4,000 square feet. So I just wanted to make those clarifications for the commission so they can see the changes that have been made towards that goal if the commission chooses to exercise their discretion.
I mean, just going over everything, looking at the planning board and then looking all at the communications from the police chief, the fire chief, the traffic consultant, and it was all really probably the catalyst for the crossing.
Correct.
So I guess my question is, what weight can we put on the public safety avenue of this within our discretion? I mean, we have a fair amount of discretion. It just
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just, if we consider this as presented, are we operating within our discretion because we're putting weight on the life safety of the area as determined by planning board, fire chief, police chief, and the traffic consultant?
So because the life safety aspects are not something within the commission's purview, the commission cannot rule based on those items. It's the protection of the interest of the act. But the discretion does allow the commission to consider, the magnitude of the alteration? Have they sought to avoid and minimize? When it comes to seeking to avoid, understanding that the planning board decision really was written as a condition, that could be taken into account as far as the extent to which they sought to get approval without the crossing. So that could go towards the avoid. Minimized with the large 12-foot wide crossing that they've proposed, that has drastically minimized from the original proposal, which was a small culvert. So they have made efforts to minimize. The effort to avoid was seeking planning board approval without the crossing. They have made efforts to minimize, and then mitigation has been offered. So a replication is required. They have to replicate. That was originally proposed anyways, but mitigation has now been offered as well. So they are the applicant is attempting to meet those criteria for the commission to exercise its discretion. But those are the only things the commission can consider. The life safety cannot be a consideration, unfortunately, under conservation regulations.
Okay. Why don't I do this? Maureen, I'm going to let Maureen respond to the questions that you raised, and then I'll open it up to the members. I think that'd be fair for Maureen to be able to respond.
Yep.
Maureen, you're on mute, and just give us your name and association with the project.
Hi, Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental Services. Hey, Mason, do you think I could bring in the plan? I don't know if he's...
You should have availability to screen share.
Okay, hold on a moment. Okay, this is the sheet I would like. Okay, so the regulations does allow the commission to approve a discretionary fill. This, of course, been documented in the paperwork. This is the planning board's preference to put this crossing in. With this crossing going in, we are, I think, substantially improving the project. As Heidi mentioned, we're providing over 4,018 square feet. That's this area here. That's existing lawn area, chicken coops, debris, overgrown. I think there might even be a motorhome in this area. We're providing greater than 1-to-1 wetland replication. The commission likes to see 1.5 to the 1 impact, so we are providing that as well. We're providing a post and rail fence along the limit so that this area is clearly marked, so whoever ends up living in these homes can see that it's clearly marked and to not encroach within that area. So we thought that that was a good idea. The commission can approve this project the way that it's designed. Obviously, DEP has the authority to appeal it if they don't agree with the commission's decision. We provided all of the documentation that's required. I think the position of my client is we would just love to get a permit in the near future, regardless of what the commission's decision is. Are you going to allow this discretionary fill crossing project, or are you not? And we'd just like to move on with the project and hopefully start constructing it in the near future.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Maureen. All right, let me open this up to questions from the members. Mary, why don't we start with you, and then just address your question to either it's Heidi or Maureen or a combination of both.
I think this is a kind of a combination thing. One is a small item and the other one's a little bit larger. So there was some discussion about the DPW, or some response from the DPW saying that the 12-inch culvert that goes under Central Street, there's never been a problem with it. And I'm not surprised, because if it backs up, it's going to back up onto this property and the neighbor's property, not onto Central Street. So I'm not sure that resolves my concerns about the condition of that culvert and whether it can accept the runoff that's being directed towards it. And then to the larger question of this discretionary fill, yeah, I agree with what's being said that in theory, you can allow up to 5,000 square feet. Even if it's, there's two ways you can allow filling for a roadway. One is a limited project, in which that's the only way to access the property. And you have to cross the wetland, and you can theoretically even alter more than 5,000 square feet in that case. In this case, we know that there's another potential access, whether that's available or not, for logistical and technical reasons, which we can consider. We can't consider safety, but we can consider logistical and technical reasons. Then the discretionary fill could be allowed, provided that we're avoiding adverse impacts and minimizing and mitigating impacts. The fact that this crossing doesn't meet stormwater standards means we're not avoiding impacts. And that I'd like to hear about what we're expecting the stormwater runoff from this crossing, where it's expected to go. If the oil and grease that's on this road from the vehicles that are going to be traveling on it is just intended to just shed directly into the wetland, then we're not minimizing impacts. If it's pushing water into an adjacent property and is causing potential flooding concerns there, then we're not minimizing impacts. So I'd like to hear more about the stormwater design for the crossing and understand better why our peer reviewer is just saying, doesn't comply, but okay. You know, it doesn't seem like we have a very robust peer review on this issue. So those are my concerns.
So Maureen, do you want to answer that question, or is that for Christian, or?
Yes, I'd like Christian to answer that question, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Christian Smith with Beals Associates, engineer for the project. And I think the point that Joe Serwatka is making when he reviews that is that, yes, out of the roughly 250 linear feet of roadway that the exit lane, which results in the crossing, entails, about 150 feet of that is actually being directed into the bioretention pond. And you know, the initial 100 feet, because we stationed it from Central Court back to the proposed roadway within the project, is that, you know, we are collecting the majority of it. And the fact that his point is, if we curb this thing and take it down to Central Court, it's going to discharge into what Joe called country drainage, which means roadside swales, grass swales, that ultimately deliver water to this wetland anyway, and that entire length of the road does in the current condition. I think that's what Joe's talking about. Mary, were there other points that I missed on that?
Yeah, just to clarify, so you're saying that of the 250 feet, 150 of it is being directed properly to the bioretention basin, and it's only the 100 feet that's not?
That's correct.
And that 100 feet, what happens to it? Where is it going?
It runs off either side and goes into the wetland itself. It does not go into Central Street. It does not go into, well, wetland or the surrounding area, but it does not go into the neighbor's property. And again, as I mentioned at the last hearing at the beginning of the month, you know, we have a relatively substantial decrease in surface water flow to the culvert, because that culvert underneath Central Court is indeed our analysis point for that portion of the property that drains to it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that I'm forgetting? I'm sorry, I didn't take notes
No,
on
so
your
I just
questions.
have, that's my point, is that the last 100 feet of this paved roadway is discharging directly to the wetland without any pretreatment. So we're not minimizing impacts, and we're not complying with stormwater standard. I understand your reasons why you're not able to capture it, but it puts us in a difficult position of having to use this tool of discretionary fill And in a case where we're not only are we filling the wetland itself, but we're not even protecting it after it's being filled from the stormwater runoff. So I have some concerns about that.
So Mary, again, I'm just trying to stay on top of this myself. So Christian, one of the options was to put curbs on both sides of the crossing, but it was going to divert the water to the edge of the adjoining roadway swale. If half of that crossing is draining correctly, wouldn't we only have to put a curb on one side? Curbing, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me, but
Yeah, no, it would have to be curbed on both sides due to the road crown.
okay.
And I guess I would point out, Mr. Chairman, to the end of the commentary specific to pollutants. I don't know how long the former owners held this property, but for years there was free-range chickens, geese, all manner of farm animals out there using that
Feces.
as their rest facilities, which is no longer going to be the case. I mean,
That's
that is
true,
a
but that's not the design standard. You have to.
I understand that, but that is a heap of pollutants
Yeah.
in the form of nutrients and other fecal waste.
Are you suggesting they didn't have a manure management plant at the site?
Not that was evident, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mary, any other questions? We're gonna circle around this couple of times.
One more thing having to do with town council's response. It sounds to me like they were trying to say that the planning board's parameters for decision-making was not they didn't have an option for denying. They had an option only for conditioning this, because this wasn't a special permit. This was a site plan review. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's my understanding, but I'm happy to reach out and get additional information. But yes, exactly,
So
that is my understanding.
So that we could never have really expected a clean denial because of the way that the planning board was denial of the
Right.
the original
Correct.
roadway configuration. Okay.
Correct.
So I want to make sure I understood that. Thank you. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Mick, I'm gonna jump up to you. Well, I can skip you, Mick, if you want.
No,
but-
no. I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, I kind of agree. I do agree with, Mary's line there, just where we have just uncontrolled flow into a wetland, and that appears just to be acceptable because the alternative is not in the best interest of the developer. Another question I have is regarding the 12-inch culvert. We conducted a site visit. It was during a rain event. It had rained the day before, and even with standing water in that swale, it's very difficult to determine, even with standing water, the direction of flow, whether it's in or out of that culvert that comes from Central Street. So what's been done to, one, confirm the direction of flow, and two, I do question a little bit that it's a viable means of drainage or water transport, because it's obvious that that culvert has been hand dug and previously to allow flow. And obviously if left in its state right now, it doesn't appear that that is a viable means of water flow.
So, I mean, as I recall, we determined the direction.
Right.
And one of the things was, what was the condition of the pipe was kind of the only open issue, as I recall, that it was flowing from that 12-inch to another 12-inch. We couldn't entertain increasing the size because it would cause downstream flooding potentially. And I thought the only open issue, Mick, was were we going to camera that? And was that why we had the DPW people go down there? I'm not sure. But Maureen, do you want to respond to Mick's questions?
Right, so that is correct. The water flows off the property into that 12-inch pipe. And in a perfect world, you know, it would be great to dredge that area out and create a slope to the pipe and have the water flow the way it was intended. That's why I think they created that swale in and of itself. But I can't get a permit from DEP to dredge that area. They would never allow it. So it is what it is. From reading the drainage, my understanding is that we're not increasing any flow, any drainage into that wetland area. And Christian, please correct me if I'm making a wrong statement.
No, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay, Mick, any other questions? Or
Uh,
thoughts?
No, Bob, really don't. Thank
Okay,
you.
again, Mick, we're gonna circle around a couple of times on this thing. Woody, questions?
We'll have to listen to the discussion as thus far. Wait, this is a question for Christian. There's no way to capture that last 100 feet of runoff and for treatment?
None that we could come up with, Woody, that would not increase the wetland impacts. Because if we capture it in a catch basin situation, then we're going to have to trench for the culvert to daylight to the pond. Have not gone too far at evaluating what the actual elevation differences would be in that, because obviously, you know, the catch basin will have some depth below the road. You know, you want if there's going to be two catch basins, one on either side, we would have to collect that from one basin to another to a manhole, and then deliver it to the stormwater treatment pond. You know, and all of that's going to be done. Obviously, the low spot of the proposed exit road is within the wetland. It's all going to create additional wetland fill. So that was really part of our drive to minimize what is going to be disturbed out there.
I understand.
And I guess in just to elaborate on that a little bit, Woody, that is really the only way to collect that final, you know, stretch of roadway would be to curb it and collect it. You know, if we're trying not to just let it run off overland into the wetland itself, would be to curb it and collect it within catch basins and you know, the connector manhole.
And that would be increasing the area of impact.
Of
correct?
impact, that's correct.
Does the proposed roadway through the project have curbing and sidewalks? I mean, I'm assuming that it does.
It definitely does on one side, Mr. Chairman, because we've got a sidewalk there, but give me 2 seconds. Oops, I'm sorry. I think I lost my mic there for a second.
We can hear you, Christian.
Yeah, give me 1 second to take a peek at that, and I will get you the answer to that question.
Okay. I don't have any other questions at this time, Bob.
Okay, Woody. Well, let Christian answer that question, and then we'll move. Frank, what do you have for questions for either Maureen, Heidi, or Christian, or Mary?
Well, it sounds to me like we're in a catch-22 situation here, where if we require them to catch the flow coming from that last 100 feet, it has an impact greater than letting it flow into the wetland, which has been happening, as I understand it, all along anyway. So my comment is, and my feeling is, based on everything that I've heard, I would approve the plan as is.
Okay, thank you, Frank.
And Mr. Chairman, the remainder of the interior roadway is curbed because we do have a closed stormwater collection system within that subdivision. And again, the interior of the circle, if you will, is also prepared with or finished with a sidewalk.
Okay. So Christian, you were the author of the stormwater report, and yes, you stamped it.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. And could you just recap what your findings were?
Yes. Now, are we talking specific to the overall project or just
Well,
our
the
culvert?
document that Heidi was referencing, that Joe Sirach, our peer review engineer, had referenced as needed, then he references as submitted.
Yeah, we had done, in fact, throughout the reviews and responses, we had done additional test pits on some of the stormwater areas. We manipulated bottom of the pond elevations so that they match or exceed the DEP and the town stormwater standards to separation to water table. And ultimately, the remainder of the project, aside from this little stub of single lane road or single way road, does meet the standards. That was the ultimate gist of it.
Okay. All right, Mary, I'm going to circle back to you. Maybe before I'm going to go through the commission one more
changed my-
time.
My thoughts on it, I think, we can approve a fill, but any amount of roadway on any project needs to comply with DEP stormwater standards. It's a requirement. So I think that there's a chance that if we approved it as this, as currently proposed, that, we're gonna have issues with DEP on it. So I'm trying to avoid that. I had no objections to the project overall in terms of, especially the original design without the wetland crossing, was strictly buffer zone, and stormwater being managed in the buffer zone. This is a different animal. Once you request permission to alter a wetland, and you have a responsibility for its care for the future as well. So, having uncontrolled stormwater runoff from a roadway, which is what we're here to eliminate. We're supposed to be looking out for that. So
Mary,
that's what I'm coming down right now on it.
Bob, if I may,
Yeah.
go ahead, Si.
this is Woody.
Yeah,
If
go
I
ahead,
may,
buddy.
can I
Yeah.
ask Mary a question? Say we were to approve this wetland crossing and DEP kicks it back, can we address their comments at that time?
Well, they would address it in a
They take
superseding
it out of our
order.
hands.
Yeah,
So
we would.
superseding order, we lose control of it, and then it's between the applicant and
Yeah.
and DEP. So to work it out.
Yep, and that I just want to say I share Mary's concern. That's been one of my concerns as well. Is a DEP appeal, like you said, takes it out of the commission's hands, but also creates a much lengthy process as well. So it would definitely be in the applicant's interest as well to get this as resolved as possible. And if it's helpful and the commission wishes, I'm happy to reach out to town council for guidance as well.
Okay. So I'm going to go around to all the members. So Woody, you have anything else to add before I go back to Mick?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Mick, just any additional thoughts that you have?
No, thank you, Bob. I've raised my primary concern about the flow of that culvert.
Yeah. No. Understood. And Frank, any other comments you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate what Mary said, and I think that
Well,
know-
there's a decision has to be made one way or the other here. because
Exactly.
This has been going on for
Yeah.
quite a while. Heidi, anything you want to add?
I would probably defer to DEP if that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Heidi, anything you want to add before we open this up to the public for comment?
I guess not anything additional, just if the commission wishes, I'm happy to reach out to town council and the final plan set. It would be great to have just a final plan set with everything on it so that when the commission is ready to make their decision, we have everything all in front of us, whichever decision they make, and
What
that's
now
it.
what is missing from the plan set other than
Not really missing, just a final, so we got revised plan sheets.
okay.
And there's a significant number of plan sheets, so I would just request a complete compilation of the final dates for each of the plan sheets, because they all need to be, we need to make sure we have all of the correct plan sheets. So I know Maureen would be able to get me that, but that would be important to have for,
Yeah.
even
No,
if the
certainly.
commission chose to close the hearing tonight, that would be important to have before an order is issued.
Okay. I mean, that's more of a housekeeping issue, Maureen, and that's just really putting a table of your plans together.
Yep, that's no problem.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open this up to the public. I see one raised hand. Now, I just want to remind everybody, we know the abutters have concerns, but our jurisdiction is simply limited to the Wetland Protection Act. And so go ahead and if you have something new to add or a question you'd like to ask, that'd be great. But we're trying to avoid just having a repetitive comments about the original planning board approval of this, because that's beyond our control at this point. So, Kathleen, I see your hand is up. Why don't you go first and just give us your name and address?
Sure. Kathleen Sperling, 10 Parker River Drive.
Okay, Kathleen, welcome. What is your question and who would you like to have it directed to?
I'm going to direct this to Mary Rimmer. Mary, at the last meeting, you knew I was going to be made. I know. Hi, Mary, how are you? At the last meeting, you made a comment after knowing what the project was before the planning board, whether or not there was a demonstrated need or if there was an alternative way to prevent this road from going in and out of the development. And I believe from some of the other meetings I've been to, there is another way in and out of this project, which was the original entrance and exit on Central Street versus Central Court. So if the exit does not come out onto Central Court, we avoid all of these wetland issues that have come up. And I believe Woody, I don't want to quote him, but I believe Woody had previously said that the traffic study for the Central Street entrance and exit was okay. So if that's true, then I would suggest, because you have the discretionary decision, and discretionary is up to you guys, and it appears that some of this culvert, from what I heard tonight, does not fall within the square footage, that I would suggest that use your discretion and deny this access road over the wetlands and use the original plan. Thoughts, Mary?
Well, that's sort of what we're wrestling with exactly, and or at least with what I am. And if perhaps, Woody can provide us with a little bit more background on the planning board decision-making process, whether or not, if the traffic study was did determine that there wasn't an issue with site distances, but the planning board felt they were still concerned about it, and that this would be a safer preferred location to have the second access. It's
I mean, I think the thing we have to remember, we're acting upon the plan that is before us, right?
right.
Not
They
not
changed
not
it,
the hypotheticals
but
that
they changed their
that-
plan because
Yeah.
of town recommendations,
right.
right? They changed
Yeah.
it in part because they came to us and they said, if we do this, would this be something that you would consider? So we said, sure, yeah, we can consider it if the planning board turns it down, or if there's not another viable option, we can consider this.
I
And
think
the decision was a little bit not as clear as we thought it would be. So the issue of whether there's another viable option is a little bit outside of our purview because it's not.
yeah, I mean, I look at this, we have a plan before us, we can either approve it or we can turn it down. We can't really continue to argue the hypotheticals, it's.
Yeah, or we can, take a temperature of the board and determine whether everybody is kind of on the same page or not, and let the applicant decide whether they want to continue the hearing and go back to the previous plan or pursue this current plan.
Okay.
But I don't think that turning it down solves it. It's just going to keep coming back to us until we.
Yeah, no, but again, I'm just trying to be pragmatic here, and this has been here probably, I mean, Maureen, you're gonna have to start bringing coffee and donuts to site visit meetings if we keep.
But Bob,
having.
this is Kathleen. I appreciate the fact that they're trying to push this project through, because the last two meetings, Maureen, has been, this has been going on since November.
No, Kathleen, please don't speak into, you're recognized.
Oh, sorry.
We're deliberating kind of between us now that there are two options that the commission can entertain. It's either approving what's before us or turning down what's before us. We just continue to seek bits and pieces of information. I thought we had quantified everything we were looking at the last time, but it's either we vote. I mean, I think it's really time we either vote yes or no on this. I don't think the trickle of information. We have a stamped stormwater report. I mean, I'll be honest, that's good enough for me. Our peer review engineer saw it. He would have raised questions, or he should have raised questions. I think to Mary's point that peer review for the Conservation Commission, we probably should revisit that at some point. But it's, I mean, we're at a point where we should entertain approving this, or we should entertain denying it. I don't think the little bit of information that we're looking for, or that's been raised, is valid for any more delay on this. Kathleen, do you have anything else to add? You've asked us to deny it. I've just reiterated that there's two options the commission can take. Do you have anything else to add that is enlightening or?
I do think it's discretionary on your part, and
Kathleen, we've heard that. We can either approve it or deny it. And,
I agree.
So that basically, I'm confirming what you're saying. We can either approve it or deny it. But it's time we have to look at this through a lens of what direction are we going to go in this thing. If you have anything else new to add other than your recommendation to deny it, please share it. Or I'm going to move on to another neighbor.
I think you need all the information that was requested tonight by Mary and Heidi, but that's your decision and it's your discretion, and I appreciate that. And hopefully the DEP will not appeal this.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Christopher, if you could give us your name and your address, and then what's your question and who you want to direct it to?
Christopher Morris, 9 Central Court. My question, I don't know who to direct this to, but should this go through and then we end up with pollution issues in both the wetlands or well water, who is responsible then?
I'm going to let that question go to the Maureen Harold.
Well, I think that's a lot of assumptions. And regarding the well water, you could always do a baseline of your well right now prior to any type of, so that you have a baseline, and, during or after construction, if you have any concerns, you can do a follow-up. I don't know how deep your wells, if your well is your drinking water, most wells are very deep in the ground. They're usually artesian wells, 200 to 300 feet deep in the ground. So that would have to be really substantial contamination. The design engineer spoke about 100 feet of roadway. The majority of the project itself will be treated. The stormwater will be treated on site, and it will be clean water. So it's a fraction of the roadway. And again, you know, the existing site conditions isn't the best between all of the bird coops and the feces on the ground. So in terms of the other pollution, I'm not sure what other pollution you would be concerned about.
My question was who's responsible if there
Yeah,
is
Christopher,
change in ground in well water.
Christopher, hang on, because Heidi, who's doing peer review for us, has her hand up. Heidi, do you want to add a comment to that?
My comment was not for the
Oh, okay.
well water. So
Who's
yeah, if
responsible?
he wants to finish, that's fine. I just left my hand up so that I wouldn't forget to put it back up.
Okay. So, Christopher, that's probably a legal question, and you'd probably have to talk to your attorney on that.
So nobody in this process would take responsibility.
We go by what documents are submitted and then peer review engineering, what they present, and then what they stamp as registered professionals.
Okay, I'll take that as we don't know.
Yeah, you've asked a legal question. I would just say it's a question for a lawyer. Okay, anyone else have their hands up? Okay, Heidi, you wanted to add some comments.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure the commission was aware of all of their options in the process part. If the commission feels that they have all the information they need to make a decision, they can choose to close the hearing. They do not need to make a decision tonight. Decision can be made within 21 days. So the public hearing can be closed if the commission is complete with no more information needing to come in, and the decision can be made at the following meeting. It would close all no additional comments, no additional paperwork, nothing else would be able to come in after that. And then, you know, at that point we can discuss more. But the options available to the commission are actually approval of what's proposed, denial, of course, but there's also approval of the original plan. So there's 3 options available for the commission that they'll be able to choose once they decide to make a decision.
So now refresh my memory. The original roadway was buffer only. Did that come in on its own order of conditions? So is this, you did an amended order?
This is an
condition, right?
amended, yep, correct. This is an amended
Okay.
notice of intent. So because it was not,
Okay.
you're absolutely correct. If this was a new notice, the only 2 options would be approval or denial of this plan, but it is an amended plan to the original NOI. So there's 3 options available to the commission.
Okay. All right, are there any other raised hands? Now I see Jim, is it Jim Brown? Jim, give us your name and address, and I apologize if I miss anybody, but just speak up if I do. Jim, you're on mute. If you could give us your name and address. You're still on.
Hey, you
mute.
got me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Just
there you
give us
go.
your name and address if you would.
It's Jim Brown from 11 Parker River Drive. I'm one of the abutters. I got on late, so this may have already been brought up. If it was, I apologize. But the last meeting, we're talking about this new road, and that it possibly would not be needed because if there's another way, you don't have to cross the wetlands. You don't want to. And the builder said, yeah, it's no problem at all. The plan's already done. No problem simply going back to the original plans. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. It's not a problem. If this gets denied, it's not a huge issue for the builder or anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we know what's before us, Jim.
Okay.
Everyone, we follow a process. The planning board has approved this project with the condition of the crossing, and that's what's before us right now. And
Yeah.
then,
Oh, the only thing I'm saying, if
yeah,
there,
no,
if
yeah,
it
no, no,
come down
no,
to
I,
the,
yep, no, I,
if it came down to brass tacks and it was one little thing you need to know, the builder said it's no problem reverting to the original plans.
you know, that it, I hear you, it doesn't really have an impact. We're looking at
Okay.
what what's the benefit? I
Yeah.
mean, the site was a mess.
Yeah, I know.
The manure management was non-existent. I can only imagine what you've all gone through with this, this ramshackle property, over the years, and God knows what infestations you probably had with it. But we're looking at what's before us, Jim. And and again, as I said earlier, we're really gonna, as I see this, and just my opinion, we're either going to consider it or we're going to deny it. And it's going to be based on what's been submitted and then what discretion we do have.
Okay, I see.
Thank you,
Very good,
Jim.
thanks.
Okay. Heidi, are there any other raised hands? I don't see any.
I didn't see any.
Okay. Well, my feeling is this. I don't think there's much more to gain here on the documentation that has been submitted. I'm comfortable with. Going to town council and asking this, I think we have discretion to determine, is this viable, or we have the ability to say, no, it's not. I'm leaning towards closing the public hearing, but I'm just going to throw that out there. What's everyone's thought on that? Mary, what's your thought on this?
I'm fine.
I just think we're
with the hearing.
time. Okay, you're fine with it?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, Mick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fine with closing the public hearing at this point.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, we close the public hearing and then we decide we're not going to address the order of conditions, whether we're going to approve it, deny it, or condition it tonight. Our next meeting is coming up June 2nd, so it's within the 20 days. We can certainly do that. Woody, what's your thought? You have an issue closing the public hearing at this point?
No, I do not.
Okay, Frank, do you have any issues closing the public hearing?
No.
Okay. All right, then. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, so that's good. So Mary
I think that's
and
Frank.
who?
Second.
And Frank, okay. Okay, roll call, all in favor? Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes.
Mick,
Aye.
Frank,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, we're not gonna issue a decision. We'll put this on the agenda for our next meeting and we'll address it at that point. So
Do we
thank
want to, in the meantime, Bob, have Heidi begin drafting two separate orders, or how would you, what would you?
Yes, thank you, Mary. No, I got it. Yeah, no, that's that's fine. I can.
Yeah, no, I think
with all the findings and info.
Why don't you draft both approval and denial? I mean, it's going to go one of two ways, but this is going to get wrapped up in the next month, in that June 2nd meeting. So.
Yeah, it would be drafting all the all the findings, all the information,
Okay.
documenting all that, and then after, because the next meeting is thankfully in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So then that will give that final week to make sure everything's corrected, spell checked, and according to I mean, it would be for the commission to review, of course, at the next meeting. Any suggestions and changes the commission has will get incorporated, and then it would be issued within the 21, within the next 7 days to meet the 21 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be fine.
Okay, so we have 21 days to make a decision, and then we have 21 days to issue the opinion. No?
No, 21 days to issue the decision. Yeah.
Okay.
From
Okay.
the close of the hearing, you have 21 days.
Yeah, so Heidi, have at it, and we'll make a determination at the June 2nd meeting. Okay, Maureen, Christian,
Thank
Jim,
you. Thank you, everybody.
Nino,
Thank you.
everybody. We feel like we're personal friends. We've been talking with you for so long, but this is going to move forward in one way or the other. So
Great. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you very much, folks.
Okay.
Have a good
Good
evening.
night.
Okay, I think what else is left? Is that it? I think that's it, isn't it, Mason?
Yep, I just have a couple quick updates
Okay.
that I can share with people. One of them I just added to our folder. And what this is this is a meeting flyer. Mary, I know you had mentioned beach management earlier, and this is one of the things that we're kind of doing to collect data for future beach management plan. So it's a CZM grant that we've been working on with Newburyport and Salisbury for a regional sediment study to kind of start understanding how our sediment is moving through our coastline and whatnot. So we're going to be holding a community forum to get some kind of word of mouth from people on shared experience for what's happening on the beach, how people are using the beach and whatnot. And then ultimately, this would be a document that would be used in the future for future nourishment projects or future, beach management projects as well. So I just wanted to let everyone know of this and invite anyone that was interested or available. And again, this flyer is in our Dropbox if anyone wants some more information on that. I also am happy to explain in detail more of the stuff that we've been looking at as a part of this study if people want to reach out separately. Besides that, the only other thing that we have coming up is the Larkin Dam removal ribbon cutting ceremony. So that's going to be Thursday, June 11th at 10 a.m. If anyone is able to make that, again, that's Thursday, June 11th, 10 a.m. to noon. We're going to plan
Send
on
out a
meeting.
meeting invite for that, Mason?
Yep, I can send out a meeting invite for that. So we're all going to be meeting here at the town hall around 9:30 or 10 a.m. Where we'll be shuttling over to the dam site. We'll have some remarks from our select board chair, Bill DeMayo, the commissioner of the Department of Fish and Game, Tom O'Shea, Kristen Kastner, and Senator Bruce Tarr, hopefully, and then John Katina, who is the Northeast and Great Lakes Regional Supervisor for NOAA. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Some interesting people going to be there, and I look forward to seeing anyone who can make it.
I'm going to make a suggestion because we could probably have more than a quorum. Do we just want to post this as a meeting at that location? I'm just,
A site visit?
yeah, I mean, I think let's post it as a site visit. Just, for the crazies out there that just want to find fault with everything that everyone does, it's probably not a bad idea.
Do we want to formalize that at the next meeting, or is that something that I can just kind of write up?
Oh yeah. No, you can just post it as a site visit, right? Within 48 hours. It doesn't have to be advertised.
Yep, we just
Alright.
talked about it at a meeting, so.
Yeah.
Does that include the cookout at Mason's house afterwards?
Yeah.
Woody, that was invite only, and I told you not to spread the word.
I don't know if you like it cold, Woody. That's black tie only, I heard, so.
I couldn't resist. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So everyone's in favor of a site visit on June 11th at 10 to 12 a.m. at the Larkin Dam.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else? And Mick, anything you wanna add before we go on?
I got nothing, Bob.
Okay. Frank, are we keeping you up?
Yes, thank you.
Woody, how about you?
No further comments. I hope everyone enjoys the weather we're having. So
yeah,
So
Mason.
don't accept any new notices of intent, so we can have a short meeting next time. Is that okay?
There you go.
there you go.
No, well, listen, it's time to resolve 34 Central Street.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So, hey, well, thank you, everyone.
Bob, I'm sorry to
go ahead,
delay it here. Just quick question.
Yeah.
Legally, as a commission, as a body, can we discuss 34 Central internally? I mean, and not now that the public hearing is closed about our opinions, yay or nay, or what's allowed?
That's a good question. We would get to deliberate at the meeting. But I mean, no new information can be introduced. So the record is closed, but discussing the documentation that is part of the record. We can't request any information. We can't accept any new information, but we get to process the information. Do you agree with that, Mary?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
true. You just can't, you can talk with another member, but not with a forum of members.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what it is? You can't talk to each one of us individually, Mick,
Right.
because
You can't
that
take
would.
a poll and say, what do you?
Right, yeah.
No, that wasn't my,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, no, but you know what? The beauty of having 7 members, Mary and I can communicate before a meeting just to kind of, get some direction on stuff. But 4 of us couldn't do that. Or I,
Right.
or I shouldn't be soliciting from all of you before a meeting, and that just would be a violation of.
You can
open
ask for
meeting.
clarifications
Yeah,
of the material that's submitted. Yeah.
okay,
No group emails.
no,
yeah, no response, no response to all. Don't respond to all, so.
yeah. No, I
But I
just
mean-
wonder what legally we can and can't talk about it, whether it's informal or,
Yeah.
understanding that the hearing is closed. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that just shuts the gate for new information. Or a request for additional information. So, all right, I will enter.
One thing that we do have to pay attention to is that the forum that we've had for review of this project may have changed. And Mason, you might want to just track that because only the 5 of us can vote next time at the next meeting unless other members listen to the whole tape. And
I thought that it was if as long as they were at the initial public hearing.
they have to be at every one.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you've missed a meeting, anyone has missed a meeting where this project has been discussed, not if it was continued, that's not an issue, but if it was discussed,
Right.
you have to listen to the tape or you can't.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Right?
So even because when we talked about that before, no, it was new members coming on board, couldn't go back and listen to it. That's what
They
it was.
can't, yeah.
Yeah, they can. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Hopefully we'll get 7 people looking at this and, we'll.
Yeah,
make a
because I don't know,
decision.
Frank, if you were here at the first meetings of this, or all of the meetings for this project or not, maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have.
I have all the meeting minutes posted up until 5/4. So when I get back on Tuesday, I'm happy to look through and
that,
give you guys a head count of.
A number of the meetings were continuances where there was no discussion because it was a
Right.
continuance.
So,
No,
if
it's a
I'm-
good point.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
I missed a meeting where this was discussed, I can go back and review meeting
Back
notes,
and
and that's,
look at-
that's
Right.
legal.
Then you have to sign something saying that you watched it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, you know what, Mason, why don't you do this? Why don't you review that and then let us know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'll give you guys a
I
tally. and
know, I had missed a meeting in April. I suppose if it was continued, then there's no problem to review it. I actually do watch all the meetings after the fact anyway.
Yeah, I can send everyone an individual email letting them know if they've missed any
Okay.
meetings and what date, and I
Yeah,
can
that'd be
have
great.
I'll
That'd
have
be
the link
great.
to the video too for any of the ones that you.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think Heidi did an excellent job. I mean, and I'm very impressed
And
with
for-
her.
And for clarification, that would go back to the original permit, or would that go back to just the roadway?
I
when the
would go
roadway
back
was
to the
completed?
the amendment,
No, all the way back to the beginning.
but it's a whole different project now,
No,
though.
it's the same file number.
Okay,
The same here, it's a continued hearing of the same project. It's the
okay.
same file number. So, yeah.
All
Go
right,
back to the
well,
very beginning.
okay, well, what I'm gonna suggest is I entertain a motion to adjourn. It's
Yes.
8:36.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, Mary, Woody,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes,
Mick,
yes.
Aye,
and Bob
aye,
Connor says, yeah.
aye. Yep,
Good night, everyone.
Yes.
Thanks
Good night,
again.
everyone.
all right. Have a great night.